Gananam tva ganapatigam havamahe kavim kavinamupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspata nashrunvannotibhisida sadanam Shri Mahaganadhipataye namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om. Dear friends, we are reading this 14th shloka, that is Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhruchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktrucha. So in the last class we read that shloka, and also we have almost completed the Bhashyam, Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. Under that, the context is that the text in the sense Lord Krishna, he is doing that Adhyaropa and Apavada. So in order to understand Brahman, or in order to convey Brahman, or in order to teach Brahman, the Vedanta adopts the strategy of Adhyaropa and Apavada. I told you in the last class, I explained what is Adhyaropa and Apavada. You attribute certain things initially and then you retract from that. So that is what we have seen. So that is the reason why, say here again, Sarve, the very shloka itself is a very good example of this Adhyaropa and Apavada. Lord Krishna himself is doing this Apavada. That is, Sarvendriya Gunabhasam, it is appearing as though it is connected with all these activities of all these Indriyas, but at the same time it is Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, it is devoid of any of these organs. Then Asaktam Sarvabhrut Shaiva, we are at that place, Asaktam, it is not connected with anything, but at the same time it supports everything. Nirgunam Gunabhoktrusha, it is at once it is Nirgunam and it is also Gunabhoktru. It is the thing which is Bhokta, actually means not only enjoyer, it means knower. That of course we will come to that. So it is a knower of all things. So that also we will see. We are in this Bhashyam line, Yasmat Sarvakarana Varjitam Gneyam Tasmad Asaktam Sarva Samshlesha Varjitam. So that is what we read last time. So because this Gneyam, Gneyam is that which has to be known. Gneyam, of course, there are two meanings. Shankaracharya is using it in both ways. Gneyam is something which is knowable is one. Something which has to be known, Jnatavyam. So he used that word, Jnatavyam also he used say once or twice. So here that Gneyam, it is Sarva Karana Varjitam. So therefore it is Sarva Samshlesha Varjitam. Samshlesha means contact. Samslishyati. Samshlesha means contact. Samshlesha Varjitam is, it is devoid of any type of contact. Even then, Yadyapi evam, even though it is so, Yadyapi evam, even though it is so, Tathapi Sarvabhrut Chaiva. Sarvabhrut means it sustains all, it supports all, it is the basis for all, it is the substratum for all. Sarvabhrut, Bhrut, Sarvam Bibharti iti Sarvabhrut. So it is the substratum for all. So this line I think I have to explain. Sadaspadam he sarvam sarvatra sadbuddhyanugamat. So that is what we read, and then I have to explain that. Sarvam sarvatra, that is, did you get it or not? You got it? Okay, sarvam sarvatra, that is everything everywhere. Everything everywhere is sad aspadam. Aspadam, I said, aspadam means adharam, support, base. So that is the substratum. Sadaspadam, because everything in that, say in the second adhyaya also, Nasato Vidyate Bhavo, we studied. So that Sat Buddhi is something which is Anusyuta, it is in everything, it follows, it continues in everything. Sat Buddhi means it exists. Sat means it exists. So that Buddhi is continuing in all things which we see. So even in a mirage, that is what Shankaracharya is going to say. So the Sadbuddhi, or the thing, the notion that it is existing, so that is there continuously in all things which we see, Sadbuddhi. So that means there is some substratum for all. So this existence, so the existence of Brahman is the substratum for all other things to exist. The point is that. So let us read the next line. Nahi mrugatrushnikadayopi niraspada bhavanti ataha sarvabhrut sarvam bibharti iti. Okay, nahi mrugatrushnikadayaha api. Mrugatrushnika, we know what is this Mrugatrishna. Mrugatrishna is a mirage which appears in a deserted area. In a deserted area and a hot sun. Because of the refraction of light, the air, say waves, the air forms into different layers, maybe ripple type of thing. So it is a sort of optical phenomena where you find, you see, and then you see that there is some water there. So Mrugatushnika Jalam, we say, Mrugatushnam bhasis snataha, people say. That is, say Mrugatushna's water, the waters of Mrugatushna. So it is all illusion only. So this nahi Mrugatushnikadayaha api, even this Mrugatushnika, there is need for aspadam. Aspadam means adharam, some base. What is the adharam there? That air ripples and then air layers, they are the adharam for that. Those air layers, because of the refraction of light, it is appearing as though there is some water there. Isn't it? So that is the aspada. So nahi mrugatushnikadayopi niraspada bhavanti. Niraspada means that which is not having any aspada. So then ataha sarvabhrut sarvam bibharti iti. So that is why this Brahman is something which is sarvabhrut. Though it is devoid of any type of contact, it is what is supporting everything. That is it. Then syad idam cha anyat jneyasya sattvaadhigamadvaram nirgunam sattvarajastamansi gunaha taihi varjitam tad jneyam tathapi gunabhoktrucha gunanam sattvarajastamasam sattvarajastamasam शब्दादि द्वारेण सुख दुःख मोहाकार परिणतानां भोक्तृच उपलब्ध्रु तत् ज्ञेयम् इत्यर्थः. Okay, स्याद् इदं च अन्यत्. There is one more point. He says, Syad idam cha anyat. Anyat idam syat. So there is one more point. For what? Jneyasya sattvaadhigama dvaram. Jneyasya of that Brahman, sattvaadhigama. To understand the presence of that Brahman. To know the presence of that, not presence, existence. To know the existence of that Brahman. Sattva adhigama. Adhigama means to understand, realize. Adhigama. Sattva-adhigama means to realize the existence or to know the existence, to know that it exists. So basically we are not shunyavadis. You see, when it is so difficult to know, people cannot say it is not, nothing exists. There is a sattva-adhigama dvaram. Dvaram means a door. Dvara and door, they are two totally related words. So sattva-adhigama dvaram means there is one more point which you have to note. In order to realize, in order to know that to know the existence of Brahman. What is that? Nirgunam gunabhoktru. So that is it. Nirgunam. This line, Nirgunam gunabhoktru, is indicating the presence of, it will tell you that there is some Brahman which exists. It is similar to what we learnt in Kenopanishad. Kenopanishad also, what did we see? Brahman is not something which is directly seen. Brahman is known through various, say, cognitions. Pratibodha viditam matam, amrutatvam hi vindate, etc., etc. And at that point of time, I also told one line from Panchadashi, this third adhyaya, there is a beautiful shloka which almost summarize, which is supposed to be the most important shloka in Panchadashi. That shloka says, Yasminnasti bodha loke bodhaha tattad upekshane yad bodha matram tad brahma. So whatever cognition is there, there is a pen cognition, there is a cell phone cognition, there is a notebook cognition, etc., etc., etc. All these cognition, yasminnasti loke bodhaha. Bodha means cognition. Then tattad upekshane. Upeksha means you ignore the names and forms. You ignore all the names and forms. You realize that there is some cognition there, and who is the illuminer of that cognition? Yat bodha matram, that pure bodha matram, that pure consciousness which is illumining that thing. So that is Brahma. That pure bodha, that pure consciousness which is illumining all these things is Brahman. So that is somewhat, this is somewhat parallel to that, somewhat similar to that. That is what Shankaracharya is pointing out. Tathapi, you see this line, Syad idam cha anyat jneyasya satvadhikamad dvaram. That is, there is one more point which will show that there is something called Brahman which exists. What is that? He is commenting on this Nirgunam Gunabhoktu. Nirgunam. What is meant by Nirgunam? Sattva Rajas Tamamsi Gunaha. We know that all the three gunas are Sattva Rajas Tamaha. Then Tamas. Then Taihi Varjitam Tat Jneyam. Taihi Varjitam means it is devoid of that. Varjam we know. Varjam. We always remember that Varjam. So Taihi Varjitam Tad Jneyam. So that Jneyam is devoid of that. Then Tathapi, even then, Guna Bhoktrucha. Guna Bhoktru. Bhoktru is Napumsakalinga Shabda. Because Brahman, we are referring to Brahma. Guna Bhoktrucha. Bhokta is Pumlinga. Bhoktri is Strilinga, I told you. Guna Bhoktrucha. Gunanam Sattvarjas Tamasam. How is it Guna Bhoktru? Gunaha, which are all these gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tama. Then how are they being say enjoyed, or how are they being known? Bhoktrutvam means Jnatrutvam. Bhoktru, you can write it as Jnatru. Bhoktru, you can write it as Jnatru, the knower. How is it? How are they known? Shabda adi dvarena. How are they cognized? They are transformed. Shabda adi dvarena sukha dukkha mohakara parinatanam. The same sattva, this sattva, rajas, tama, they are transformed. They have not exactly transformed, they have modified. They are all parinama, isn't it? Maya, parinama only is all this thing. So sattva is again a parinama. Sukha, sattva leads to sukha. So sukha parinama, whatever the thing which gives you happiness or sukham is something which is due to sattva element. Then something dukkha. Dukkha means anxiety, sorrow. So this is due to this rajoguna, because you are always acquisitive, you want more and more and more. So for that, naturally you have to strive hard, and then you have to struggle hard, you have to have a lot of anxiety, headache and all that. So that is dukkha. So sukha, dukkha. Moha. Moha is delusion. That is resulted by tamoguna. So this sattva, rajas and tamoguna are respectively getting transformed into this sukha, dukkha and moha. Respectively they are forming sukha, dukkha and moha. So sukha, dukkha, mohakara parinatanam. Parinatam is they are modified like that. They have undergone transformation like that. They have transformed like that. So how are they cognized? Shabda adi dvarena. You listen to some sound. That sound may be very, very pleasing, good, something which gives you happiness. So that is something which is sattva. Some cacophony means some horrible noise is there, some horrible noise and then loud shouts. So that is something which is giving you unhappiness. So that is the result of tamogunas, other things. Or you eat something, suppose shabda adi, shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha, suppose you eat something. You eat something, it is good to the body, it is nice, it is nourishing and all that. That is product of sattva. Something which say drives you into say some action, and then some action means in a very, very meaningless action. It drives you into more and more say pursuit of things. So that is the result of tamoguna. And something which dulls your mind is something which is the result of tamoguna. So these are all sukha, dukkha, mohatma, parinatanam, and these are all the transformations of the same sattva, rajas, tamogunas only. So this is guna bhoktru. Bhoktru, Shankaracharya writes upalabdhru. You see that word upalabdhru. Upalabdha. What is upalabdha? Jnata. Upalabdhru means jnatru, you can say, because all words are in Napumsakalinga. You can also note jnatru. So bhoga is actually knowing. Bhoga actually means knowledge of cognitions, not literally eating or anything, not necessarily enjoying. If you want to enjoy also, you should know first, isn't it? Suppose you take a rasagulla or something, you don't know the taste. Unless you know the taste, how do you enjoy it? So the taste is again a knowledge. What is the meaning of taste? Taste again is a knowledge only. So that only that knowledge only is giving you that happiness, isn't it? So guna bhokta means the knower of that object. So this knowledge of cognitions, actually you are say enjoying that, said to be enjoying that object. So in that process, the existence of that Brahma is known because of all these antahkarana vrittis. Dukham, sukham, dukham is a vritti, sukham is a vritti, sukham is sukhakara vritti. The mind is in that particular state. Dukham means dukhakara vritti. Then moham, mohakara vritti. All these vrittis again are cognitions. What are they? They are again illumined by consciousness only. So the presence of that consciousness is known, it is understood by all these sukha, dukkha, mohatmaka cognitions. All cognitions we have, they can be categorized into these three only. There can't be anything else, isn't it? What all we have, they can be categorized into these three, sukha, dukkha and moha only. So that is it. Bhoktrucha upalabdru tat gneyam ityarthaha. Then let us see the next shloka. Kincha shloka Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charamevacha sukshmatvat tadavigneyam durastham chantike cha tat. So this is again similar to what we read in long ago in Ishavasya Upanishad. Tadejati, tannaijati, tad dure, tadvantike. It is far away, it moves not, it is far away, it is close. So that is, it is the same thing. Because as we know, Bhagavad Gita, it is a reflection of so many lines of all these say Upanishads. And particularly these 3-4 shlokas, it is supposed to be a summary of various sentences in the Upanishads regarding the nature of Brahman. So that is why all those reflections, all those things we find here. So Bahihi Antascha Bhutanam. Bahihi means outside. Outside with reference to what? Not outside with reference to the building or anything, outside with reference to the body. Bahihi Antascha. Antaha means again with reference to the body only. Antaha, inside. Intascha Bhutanam. Bhutanam means all beings which come into existence, not merely human beings. Starting from an ant, we should always remember that ant. Bhutam, whenever we say, we should also remember that ant which is also having that intelligence. Ant also is having a lot of intelligence. So, Bhutanam, Acharam Charamevacha. Acharam means that which does not move. That is Sthavara. We know we call it Sthavara, and moving thing we call it as Jangama, Gacchati. So Acharam, Charam, Evacha, Charam Evacha. So it is at the same time, it is outside, it is inside, it is Charam, Acharam. Then Sukshma, then if it is so ubiquitous or so well seen everywhere, so omnipresent, let us say, if it is so, it is like that, then how is it that it is not known? That is the question. So the reply is Sukshmatvat, because it is so subtle. Because to understand it, it is very, very subtle. It is known to somebody who will think, who will apply his mind. For somebody who does not apply his mind, it will not be known. So that is what Bhashyam is going to say. So Sukshmatvat, that is because it is Sukshma, Tat Avigneyam. That Brahma is something which is not known directly. You see, it is outside, it is inside, it is Charam, Acharam, even then it is Avigneyam. So these are all the paradoxical statements. So Avigneyam, then Durastham cha Antike cha tat. It is Durastham, it is far, far away. Dure sthitam is Durastham. Antike means it is close, very close. Antike cha tat Brahma. So the shloka is simple. Let us see the Bhashyam. Bahihi tvak paryantam deham atmatvena avidya kalpitam apekshya tameva avadhim krutva bahihi uchyate tatha pratyagatmanam apekshya dehameva avadhim krutva antaha uchyate. Okay, so bahihi antaha, this is what we saw now. Bahihi tvak paryantam deham. Tvak paryantam means up to the tvak. Tvak is skin. Tvak, in Telugu we call it tokku. When you take a banana peel, banana, you call it tokka. Tokka, you throw it away, you say that tokka is twak only. So there are lot many Telugu words without our knowledge, which are all Sanskrit words only. So this twak is skin. Twak paryantam deham, the body which is there limited up to this twak, isn't it? So atwak paryantam deham, and this is what we always atmatvena avidya kalpitam. So avidyaya kalpitam. This is because of ignorance. We deem this thing as atma, the self. Atmatvena parikalpitam means this is visualized as one's self. Because of ignorance. Because of ignorance, this tvakparyantam deham is deemed as so and so, and that is why we have got the biggest industry is the beauty industry, isn't it? The biggest industry in the world are said to be two. The beauty industry is one, the other thing is war. Beauty and war. So these two industries. So like that, atmatvena vidya kalpitam apekshya. Apekshya means say taking that as the reference point, apekshya, keeping that as a reference point, tameva avadhim krutva, keeping that as the boundary. Avadhi means a boundary. Tameva avadhim krutva, then bahihi uchyate. Then tatha, likewise, pratyagatmanam apekshya. Where is something pratyagatma, the inner self, from that point of view, apekshya means from the point of view of that pratyagatma. Pratyagatmanam apekshya, that is from the point of view of that pratyagatma. Then dehameva avadhim krutva, keeping the body as the avadhi, bahihi. So bahihi, antaha uchyate. So that is the bahihi and antaha he explained. Then bahirantasya ityukte, madhye abhave prapte, idam uchyate, acharam charamevacha, yat characharam dehabhasamapi, tadeva gneyam, yatha rajju sarpa bhasaha. So Shankaracharya is explaining charam and acharam. You see, why are this acharam and charam noted here? Because you said bahihi and you also said inside. Then what about the in between? In between there is this body, isn't it? Inside pratyagatma is there, and then bahi also is there. But what about this body itself, which is there in between? It is something like a medium, isn't it? So what about this medium? So bahihi antascha ityukte sati, when it is told it is there outside and it is there inside, then madhye abhave prapte. Then you have come to a situation where madhye, that is in the about this body itself, abhava means absence. Abhava is absence, shunya. Abhave prapte, when that contingency arises, idam uchyate. Abhave prapte sati means when such a contingency has arisen, then idam uchyate. This is being told. What? Acharam charamevacha. What is this? Yat characharam dehabhasam api. So this characharam, what we said as thavaram and jangamam, Shankaracharya is giving the meaning dehabhasam. Deha abhasa. This charam also is dehabhasa. Acharam, that tree also is a dehabhasa. The tree also is a body, isn't it? Tree, whatever is, it is a body. It is a body for some living thing. There is some intelligence there also in that. So that is a deha abhasa. Abhasa means an appearance. This deha bhasa, this also is gneyam. Deha bhasamapi tadeva gneyam. Then how is it all this thing? Yatha rajju sarpa bhasaha. So this is something which we have to see. Rajju sarpa bhasaha. Just as a rope, just as a snake is seen on a rope, this Brahman, this Jagat is adhyastam. This is what we have been talking about. Brahmani, Jagat adhyastam. So this Jagat is something which is superimposed on that Brahman. So in reality it is Brahman only, and in that reality only we are seeing this Maya. In that Maya we are seeing that say Sattva Rajas Tamo Gunas, and the Sattva Rajas Tamo Guna Parinama, as a result of that Parinama we are seeing all this whole universe and also the Jiva. And then this Jiva ultimately it is nothing but that Brahman itself. So it is a very, very clear statement. The text is making a very, very clear statement that it is the Brahman which is present everywhere, and then this Jagat is something which is adhyasa, which is superimposed on that Brahman. So yatha rajju sarpa bhasaha. Then other commentators also, they are writing the same thing. Bahihi bhutanam kevala vikaratvena, then bahihi, then Nilakantha Vyakhya, vidvad yatha mudho jalasuryam bimbasuryad durassamanyate. He is giving the example of Nilakantha is giving the example of Jalasurya. Jalasurya means the water, the sun reflected in several water bodies. Yatha Jalasuryam Bimbasuryat Durastham Manyate. So that is Durastham cha Antike chatat. So regarding this Kevala Vika Bahirantascha Bhutam Bhutanam Gunaihi Samprakashamanatvat. So anyway, the basic idea is that the whole universe is something which is superimposed on the Brahman. Then, yad yacharam charamevacha vyavahara vishayam sarvam gneyam kimartham idamiti sarvaihi na vigneyamiti. Okay, yadi acharam charamevacha. If you are saying that it is acharam and also charamevacha, vyavahara vishayam sarvam gneyam. So all this thing is vyavahara. This is vyavahara vishayam means at the level of vyavahara, at the vyavaharika level, all this is known. All this universe, it is all, we are everyday interacting. Then kimartham idamiti sarvaihi na vigneyam. Idam means this. Why is it that we are not able to know it as this? So that is the question. So kimartham idam iti sarvaihi na vigneyam. Why is it that it is not surely or specifically known, like you see this? Then uchyate, it is said, uchyate satyam sarvabhasam tat tathapi vyomavat sukshmam ataha sukshmatvat svena rupena tat gneyam gneyamapi avigneyam avidusham. Okay. So uchyate, yes, for your question, okay, yes, it is true. It is true, it is not known. The question is, why is it, if it is so omnipresent, why is it that it is not known? Why is it that we are not able to say, yes, this is Brahman? Then sukshmatva satyam sarvabhasam tat. Sarvabhasam means it is appearing as everything. Sarva abhasam, it is appearing as everything. That Brahman. Tathapi, even then, vyomavat sukshmatva, it is something like akasha. Akasha, we know, that is the closest comparable thing to Brahman. Because like akasha, like Brahman, it is something which has no partition in that, no division in that. You can't take a sword and slash it into pieces. You can't take some pots and then separate all that akasha. When the pot is not there, that akasha, the same akasha, ghatakasha, mathakasha, the whole akasha is one and the same. So like that, Vyomavat Sukshmam, it is comparable to that Vyoma. Vyoma is space. That space. Sukshmam. Ataha Sukshmatvat, because it is so subtle, Svena Rupena Tat Gneyamapi, though it can be known by wise people, not by everybody. Svena Rupena Gneyamapi. Svena Rupena means by its own nature. Its own nature means Sat Chit Ananda Rupena. Svena Rupena, you can note it as Satchidananda Rupena. Svena Rupena, that Brahman's own nature. What is Brahman's own nature? Sat Chit Ananda, isn't it? So in that Rupena, Tat Gneyamapi, though it is knowable like that, though it can be known by, say, wise men, even then, Avigneyam Avidusham, for ignorant people, Avidusham. For ignorant people, avidwan is the word, avidusham is shashti bahuvachanam. So for those people, it is avigneyam, it cannot be known. Then vidusham tu atmai vedam sarvam brahmai vedam sarvam ityadi pramanataha nityam vijñātam. So for wise people, for this vidusham, for the people who know it, how is it known? By Shabda Pramana. Because it is not known by other Pramanas, it is not known by Anumana Pramana, it is not known by some other Pratyaksha Pramana or any other Pramana. It is known by Shabda Pramana. And also, it is experienced also. Vidusham tu Atmaiva idam sarvam. This is again the whole, what all we see is this Atma only. Atma is that pure consciousness only. Brahmai Vedam sarvam. So all these statements we find in Upanishads. Then Ityadi Pramanataha, by such Pramanas, Nityam Vijñatam, it is always known. Vijñatam. Vijñatam means experienced. Jnana Vijnana Sahitam we have to realize, we have to keep in mind. It is not merely intellectually known. Nityam Vijñatam means it is always experienced. A Jnani is always in that state of Brahman awareness. He is like, what is that, what Paramarthananda says, space-like consciousness. So that space-like, say, consciousness, he is in that state. He is in that state of awareness, let us say. Space-like awareness, rather. So he is in that type of awareness. So, Nityam, Vijñatam. Then Avijñatataya Durastham Varsha Sahasra Kotyapi Avidusham what is this? Avidusham Aprapyatvat Antikecha Tat Atmatvat Vidusham. Okay, Avijñatataya means because it is not known. Avijñatataya, avijñatam, that is something which is not experienced. Avijñatataya, because it is not known. Because it is not known. Durastham, it is durastham. For whom? Again avidusham. Durastham, how far? Varsha sahasra kotyapi. So your duram, the distance is now being measured by time, being told in terms of time. The distance, you say it is, say if it is 10 kilometers, you say it is 1 hour away from this place. So something like that, it is Varsha Sahasra Kotyapi. So Sahasra Koti, 1,000 crores, 1,000 crore years, 1,000 crore years. Okay, you have to take so many janmas, you have to go into so many cycles of birth and death and all that. And then even then, you will not know so long as you are ignorant. So that is what it says. Varsha Sahasra Kotyapi, for whom Avidusham Aprapyatvat. Because for this Avidusham Aprapyatvat, it is something which is not Prapyam. Prapyam means it cannot be attained. Apyam is something which is attained, which can be attained. Aprapyam is something which cannot be attained by this Avidusham. Even if you loiter in this samsara chakra for thousands and thousands of years, even then it is not known. Then Antikecha Tat. But at the same time it is close. Antikecha. Antike means close. Antikecha Tat. For whom? Atmatvat Vidusham. Antikecha Tat Vidusham. For the wise people. Why? Atmatvat. Because it is their own Atma, it is their own self and they are aware of it. Then Kincha, next shloka, Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu Vibhaktam cha sthitam Bhuta bhartru cha tagneyam Grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. So here Avibhakta again say it is telling about the contradictory say appearance of that Brahman, the apparently contradictory appearance of that Brahman, that is Tat Gneyam. In the second line you see Bhuta Bhartrucha Tat Gneyam, that is the subject here. Tat Gneyam, that Gneyam, that Brahman which is knowable or that Brahman which has to be known. How is it appearing? Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu. Bhuteshu, in all the beings, avibhaktam. That is something which is not divided. It is not divided. You see, all beings are looking as though they are divided, isn't it? All these beings, so many multitude of beings, millions and millions, millions, billions and billions of beings are there. All these beings are looking as though they are divided. But this Brahman is not divided in them. It is only one. We have also studied about this Eka Jiva Vada, where earlier in Kena Upanishad or somewhere, we discussed this Eka Jiva. It is, and also in Kathopanishad. Yeah, Kathopanishad also we discussed this Eka Jiva. Why? What is the meaning of Eka Jiva? The consciousness is one and the same, reflecting in all these things. So from that point of view, it is Eka Jiva. So because it is the consciousness cannot be divided into pieces, It is like Ghatakasha, the millions and millions of Ghatas. So millions and millions of Ghatakasha, similarly millions and millions of beings. But the same consciousness is there in all these things. So avibhaktam bhuteshu. In all these beings it is avibhaktam. It is undivided. Avibhaktam is vibhajana. You know the word vibhajana. Vibhajana is dividing. Vibhaktam means something which has been divided. And avibhaktam is undivided. Then vibhaktam ivacha sthitam. It is looking as though vibhaktam iva. It is looking as though it is so divided. Then bhuta bhartruja tad jneyam. Tat jneyam, that particular Brahman, bhuta bhartru, grasishnu, prabhavishnu. So you see all these three things have been told. Srushti, sthiti, laya. First of course, sthiti has been told. Bhuta bhartru, bibharti. Here again we saw, earlier also we saw this thing. What is that? Bhartru. Guna bhoktru, okay, so guna bhoktru, sarvendriya, sarvabhrut, yeah, sarvabhrut we saw, sarvam bibharti iti sarvabhrut. So here again is same thing, bhartru, sarvam bibharti. So bhuta bhartrucha. So it is the thing which is sustaining all the beings. So first that sustenance has been told. Then grasishnu means that which devours, grasa, we know that word grasa means grasa, something which is eaten. English word grasa and grasan, our English Sanskrit gras also are related words. So grasa. So grasishnu means that which eats, that which devours, grasishnu. So it refers to laya. Srushti, sthiti, laya when you talk about. Prabhavishnu refers to that last word Prabhavishnu. Come to last word Prabhavishnu. Prabhava. What is Prabhava? Udbhava. Prabhava. That is Srushti. That is, Srushti is creation. Then Prabhavishnu means that is its nature. Or Shnu is what is this? A pratyaya. Shnu pratyaya. It shows its nature. Grasishnu, Prabhavishnu, Jishnu. So such, this is a pratyaya. So Prabhavishnu is that which has the nature of say creating. Then Grasishnu, its nature is also to take back, and its nature is to support for some time. So it creates, it sustains, and it takes back. So this Srushti, Sthiti, Laya, that is creation, sustenance, and also dissolution. All the three are mentioned in this particular line. So Bhuta Bhartru, sustenance is maintained. Grasishnu, that which has the nature of eating, that is dissolution is mentioned. Then Prabhavishnu, creation is mentioned. Prabhavishnu cha. So see the Bhashyam. Avibhaktam cha pratideham vyomavat tadekam bhuteshu sarvapranishu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam deheshveva vibhavyamanatvat. That is, we have to put a full stop there. Okay, avibhaktam cha pratideham vyomavat tadekam. Pratideham vyomavat. Pratideham means in every body, like vyoma, tad ekam. That Brahma is one and one only, though, and it is avibhaktam. It is undivided. Then bhuteshu means sarva pranishu, in all the beings. Vibhaktam ivacha sthitam. It is looking as though it is divided. It is divided in all these bodies. Then deheshveva vibhavyamanatvat, because it is something which is cognizable in these bodies only. Because there are bodies, because there is what is called antahkarana vritti, then we are able to realize that existence of that Brahman, isn't it? Deheshveva vibhavyamanatvat, in the bodies only, and in the by means of all various cognitions etc. only, this Brahman's presence or existence is known to us. So deheshveva vibhavyamanatvat. So it is vibhaktam iva sthitam. You see, in all these bodies, this is known. Brahman is known. I also know, you also know, somebody else also knows. So it is looking as though it is this Brahman is divided in all these things. It is looking as though this Brahman is divided. An ant has intelligence, some other animal has intelligence, a human being has intelligence. All this intelligence is looking as though it is divided. Yes. So that is it. Vibhavyamanatvat. Then Bhuta Bhartrucha Bhutani Bibharti iti. Tat Jneyam Bhuta Bhartrucha. Sthiti Kale. So Srishti Sthiti Kale, how does it look? Bhuta Bhartrucha. So Bhutani Bibharti, that which bears, that which sustains, that which supports. So Tat Jneyam. So Sthiti Kale, at the time of say sustenance, it is like that. Then Pralaya Kale Grasishnu. Grasana Sheelam. Grasishnu, that Shnu Pratyaya, the Sheelam. Like that Tatshilya and any Pratyaya, this is something similar. So Grasishnu, that which takes back, that which dissolves. Pralaya Kale. Pralaya, Pralaya means the same pra and laya. Laya means to getting resolved, to getting back, resolved back into a particular thing, source. Pralaya Kale Grasishnu Grasana Sheelam. Then Utpatti Kale Prabhavishnucha. Prabhavana Sheelam. Yatha Rajvadihi. Sarpadehe Mithya Kalpitasya. So Shankaracharya at every place he is just say bringing us back to that say point that this Rajju Sarpa, don't think this is all true. Tadeva Jneyam Yatha Rajju Sarpa Bhasaha. In the earlier shloka also we saw this Rajju Sarpa Bhasaha. Here again he is pointing it out that when you say that Prabhavishnu means creating, don't think that this creation is something which is real. Prabhavishnucha Prabhavana Sheelam Yatha Rajvadihi Sarpadehe Prabhavishnu. Prabhavishnu we have to understand there. Yatha Rajvadihi Sarpadehe Prabhavishnu. Just as rope etc. are said to be creators. Rope is said to be the creator of Sarpa. Rajju Sarpa Bhranti. So rope is said to be the creator of that Sarpa. So Sarpadehe Mithya Rajvadihi Sarpadehe Prabhavishnu. Why? How? Mithya Kalpitasya. It is all Mithya Kalpitam. It is something which is superimposed on the rope itself. So that is why it is called Mithya Kalpitam. Then Kincha Sarvatra Vidyamanam Sat.
Kincha Sarvatra Vidyamanam api Sat.
Okay, Api is there. Okay, now Upalabhyate Chet. Jneyam Tamaha Tarhi. Na. Kim Tarhi. Jyotisham Api iti. This is a small avatarika for the next shloka. That is Kincha. Moreover, so when Sarvatra Vidyamanam Sat, while on one hand you are saying that it is Sarvatra Vidyamanam, it is there everywhere. And then now Upalabhyate Chet. If it is not known by us, then you have to take it as something which is Jnanam itself. It is something which is Ajnanam. It is something which is Tamas. Now Upalabhyate Chet. Jneyam Tamaha Tarhi. Tarhi means in that case, Jneyam Tamaha. Jneyam should be Tamas only. Jneyam should be something which is of the nature of ignorance. So how is it? So then it is not tamas, it is something which is the illuminer of all. So that is what is the avatarika for the next shloka. Let us read this shloka. Jyotishamapi tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate jnanam jneyam jnanagamyam hrudi sarvasya vishthitam. So this jneyam is something, it cannot be understood or it cannot be misunderstood as something tamas. Jneyam is something which is not at all of tamas, which is not tamas or ignorance. On the other hand, this is the Jyotisham api tad Jyotihi. So this is the light of all lights. Jyotisham api Jyotihi. Jyotihi. Jyoti is light. Light, we know in Vedanta, refers to Jnanam. Light always refers to Jnanam. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So that there again, Asatoma Sadgamaya refers to Sat, then Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya refers to Chit, then Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya refers to Ananda. So Sat, Chid, Ananda are mentioned in those three lines. So like that, this is referring to that Chit. Jyoti does not refer to light, physical light. We discussed it in Kathopanishad also several times. There are several passages in Kathopanishad which refer to light. So Jyotisham api tad jyotihi. So every day we also recite this line. What is that line? Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. We read that line while lighting the lamp. There are two mantras which are told. What is that? Natatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti. That we saw in Kathopanishad. Of course, we also read Uddipya Svajata Vedo. That also we read. So here Jyotisham api tad jyotihi. That Brahman is Jyotisham jyotihi. It is the light of the lights. That is, it is the illuminer of all. Suryadinam, like Surya. Surya may be an illuminer of the whole world. But then the Surya himself is illumined by, say that Chaitanya, Brahma Chaitanya only. Surya, Chandra, all these so-called lights, they are all illumined by the Supreme Consciousness only. So that is the meaning. Tad Jyotihi. Then Tamasaha Param Uchyate. It is beyond that ignorance. Tamasaha Param. Beyond that Ajnana. Beyond that Ajnana or beyond that Maya. Tamasah Param. This also we have come across earlier, because this is Brahman is something which is beyond that ignorance. Maya is something which is only a manifestation. Then Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam. Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam. So Jnanam is here when we talk about ordinary jnana of a thing, there is this triputi. When we talk of an ordinary cognition, suppose I see this pen, so I am the jnata. Then my chitta vritti, my whatever this antahkarana vritti, it is going on to that and all that is jnanam. Antahkarana vritti is jnanam. Then jnana gamyam, this is jneyam. This is jnanam, jneyam. This is becoming jneyam. So this jnata, jnanam and jneyam, they do exist. And jneyam itself is jnana gamyam, because it is known by that jnana, isn't it? Jneyam is also called jnana gamyam, because of this jnana it is attained, it is known. So that is why it is called jnana gamyam. That which is known by jnanam is called jnana gamyam. So this in ordinary transaction, so there is a triputi. But in the case of when we talk about Brahmajnana, when we talk about what we call not Brahmajnana, when we talk about Brahman consciousness, when we talk about consciousness, supreme consciousness as we call it, there is no such thing as division. Because that supreme consciousness itself is illumining this jnata, jneyam, jnanam, everything. You see, at my level, this antahkarana avachinna chaitanya, then there is a vritti avachinna chaitanya, there is vishaya avachinna chaitanya. All these chaitanyas, they are illumined by that antahkarana, by that supreme consciousness only. So when we refer to this Brahman or that supreme consciousness, there is no triputi there. Triputi is all at vyavaharika level only. So here, jnanam, jneyam, jnanagamyam. So that also we'll see the Bhashyam. Shankaracharya is going to very elaborately write on that. Then Hrudi Sarvasya Hrudi, in everybody's heart. Heart means Buddhi. Here Hrudi, Hrut means Buddhi. In Sanskrit, Hrudi, Hrut means not the heart, physical heart which pumps blood, we know that. So it is Harati, iti Hrut, Harati. All these vasanas it accumulates, all our experiences, samskaras, all these things it accumulates. So that is why it is called Buddhi. It is called Hrut. So the Hrudi, Sarvasya, Vishthitam. V plus Sthitam is Vishthitam. V, Visheshena, Tishtati iti Vishthitam. That is it. Then see the Bhashyam. Kim Jyotisham api, okay. Jyotisham Adityadinam api.
Jyotisham Adityadinam api.
Tad Jneyam Jyotihi. Atma Chaitanya Jyotisha. Idhani hi. Adityadini Jyotinshi Deepyante. Yena Suryas tapati tejasedhaha. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Ityadi shrutibhyaha. Okay, Jyotisham. What are these Jyotisha? The lights. Adityadinam api. All this Aditya, Adi, etc., etc. So Aditya, Adi, who are all these things? Then here Nilakantacharya writes, Jyotisham, Bhahyanam, Adityadinam. So all these external things which are there, Aditya, Adi. Then Antaranam cha. Antaranam means those which are inside. Which are all these inside things? Buddhyadinam, Itara Avabhasakanam api. Buddhyadinam. So outside there is Surya, inside there is Buddhi for all the beings. Then why is it called Jyoti? Itara Avabhasakam. Itara Avabhasakanam api. Itara Avabhasakam means that which is able to cognize something else, that which is able to know something else. So the Avabhasanam means to know something. To throw light on something means, in Vedanta, it is knowing something. Avabhasanam means not merely throwing light. Sun, not merely throwing light, it is knowing. So Itara Avabhasakam, you are able to know others. So of all those things, Jyotisham Adityadinam api tad Jnayam Jyotihi. So that Jnayam is the Jyoti of all these Jyotis. That is the light of all these things. That is the illuminer of all these things. Then Atma Chaitanya Jyotisha, by that Jyoti, by that light of the consciousness of Atma, or in other words, consciousness called Brahman. By that consciousness called Brahman, Yidhani. Yidhani means Vardhitani. That is, which are nourished, which are supported. Yidhani supported. Yidhani he means, you know quite well. That is the meaning. You know quite well. We all know quite well. He means because Yidhani hi Adityadini Jyotinshi Deepyante. All these Jyotis, all these external lights like Aditya, they are all brilliantly shining only because of this Atma Chaitanya. Because of this Atma Chaitanya only all these things are available. Atma Jyotimshi Deepyante. So he is quoting from Taittiriya Brahmana, Yena Suryas Tapasi Tejasedhaha, Yena, by which Suryaha Tapati, by which the sun is able to give light, by the sun is able to give heat also, Tapati, Tapadhatu, both light and heat, Tapati, Tejasa Iddhaha. Tejasa Iddhaha means Tejasa Vardhitaha. So his his Tejas, his splendor, it has been increased by this Atma Tejas, by this Atma Chaitanya. His splendor has been increased by this Atma Chaitanya, has been nourished by Atma Chaitanya. Then Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. Tasya means by that Brahman's light. Tasya Bhasa. Bha means light. Bhasa means by means of that light. Tasya, whose Tasya? That is by means of that Brahman's light. Sarvamidam Vibhati. All this is known. So whatever is known is because of that Brahma Chaitanyam only. Ityadi Shrutibhyaha, by virtue of such Shrutis. Then Smrutescha Ihaiva Yad Adityagatam Tejaha Ityadehe. So we are going to see another shloka in the 15th Adhyaya. Yad Adityagatam Tejaha. So whatever Tejas, whatever that splendor is there in that Aditya, that is all because of this Brahman. So we are going to see Smrutescha Ihaiva. Ihaiva means here itself. That means in this text itself. Smrute, in this text which is also a Smruti. So we are seeing such lines. Then Tamasaha Ajnanat Param Asprustam Uchyate. Okay, Tamasah Param Uchyate. That is, what is the meaning of Param? Param means not beyond in terms of any distance or anything. Not in terms of, see, in we very quite often we tell one poem from Potana Bhagavatam. What is that? Penjikati Kavala Nevan Dekakruti Velugunatadu Nese Vintun, in that Gajendra Moksham passage, that Brahman which is beyond that extreme darkness, Penjikati, beyond that darkness. So that is what Gajendra says. So in childhood we used to think that there is something which is, there is some darkness up above the sky, there is some darkness, and above that darkness there is some Brahma, some Vishnu who is sitting there. So it is like that. It is not that sort of, there are no coordinates anywhere in the sky for all these things. Beyond that darkness means it is not as though there is some darkness which is there. Tamas is ajnana which is in us only. And then it is asprushtam. Param means asprushtam. It is untouched by this ajnana. Tamasah param means something which is untouched by ajnana. This is something not outside. It is something which is inside us only. Tamasah param means ajnanat param asprushtam. It is something which is untouched by this ajnana. Then jnanadehe dussampadana buddhya praptau
दुःख संपादन बुद्धिया प्राप्तो
दुःख संपादन बुद्धिया प्राप्त not प्राप्तौ दुःख संपादन बुद्धिया प्राप्तावसादस्य उत्तम्भनार्थम आह ज्ञानम अमानित्वादि ओके सो ज्ञानादेह दुस्संपादन बुद्धिया दिस ज्ञानादेह so jnanam etc. What is this jnanam etc.? Jnanadehe dussampadana buddhya. Jnanam, all these amanitvam, adambhitvam etc. etc. He told about 20 things and then he said yetat jnanam iti proktam. Isn't it? All that was jnana. So jnanadehe means what are all the jnana sadhanani? Isn't it? Jnanadehe means jnana sadhanadehe. You can note down. Jnanadehe means jnana sadhanadehe. That is, of all these say means for jnana, of all these means of jnana, how are they? Dukkha sampadhyani. That is very difficult to say practice all of them. Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shanti, etc. etc. All these things which were told. So they are all things which are very, very difficult to say internalize and practice. So that is why jnanadeha dussampadana buddhya praptavasadasya. So when somebody, an ordinary man is told about this Gita, okay, this is something which is not for me, it's not my cup of tea. I will as well lead a life, happy full life. I will say, God knows whether there is something there or not. Like we saw in the last class. Last class there was one line from Upanishad, isn't it? One line from Veda only. Ko hi adha, ko Veda, who knows whether there is something there or not. So this man will settle down here, he will nicely go to a pub. So praptavasadasya. Avasadanam means sida dhatu. Avasidati. Avasidanti mama gatrani. We saw here earlier also. Vishada. Sidanam, that is collapsing, just sitting down, just breaking, you see, just stop doing anything. That is what is called avasadam. You get demoralized, in other words. In other words, all this amanitvam, adambhitvam, etc., etc., this is something not my cup of tea, I can't do all this. So this you will get demoralized with all these things. So to see that you don't get demoralized, Lord Krishna is saying, it is the duty of Lord Krishna to encourage the student also now and then. Now and then he praises the student, you are a very nice man. Then now and then he also encourages. It is not so difficult, it is quite easy. He is going to say, this line is Jnanadehe Dussampadana Buddhya, because it is very difficult to attain. Sampadana means to attain all those virtues. Then Praptavasadasya, for somebody who becomes demoralized and then sits down saying that it is not for me. Then Uttambhanartham aha. Uttambhanam means to give, to boost up his morale, to encourage him. Uttambhanam, to lift him up. Uttambhanam, that is to lift him up, and then that is to just boost his morale. Krishna is saying what? Jnanam, he is saying Jneyam yattat pravakshyami ityadina uktam. You see, Jnanam amanitvadi. The second line, we have come to the second line. Hrudi sarvasya vishtitam. What is Krishna going to say? Hrudi sarvasya vishtitam. It is there in the heart of every person. So by saying that, Lord Krishna is conveying to Arjuna, you don't get demoralized. It is there in everybody's buddhi. You can, with some effort, you can attain it. So that is what he is going to say. Then he is explaining the words Jnanam, Jnayam, etc. He is explaining. Now, of course, if the time is over, we will continue in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate పూర్ణస్య పూర్ణమాదాయ పూర్ణమేవావశిష్యతే. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి.